video. Last time I made a video and I was talking about drug crisis in Africa, and to my surprise, the video got flagged. I guess I was being, what do you call it, open or honest. That's the thing. Not really honest. I wasn't filtering some words. I don't know. There's this weird vibe when you have to like filter some other words and you have to say a certain word to not say a certain word. And yeah, my African brain didn't just think about that. But today I'm going to try to be careful because I do not want YouTube to flag this video. I want many people, especially from Africa, to see this type of videos, to see this type of content when we're talking about serious crisis like drug abuse or drugs. I don't know if drugs is also allowed. Thank you so much for joining in. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're here for the first time. Thank you. So the UN summit just ended that was held in New York City, and a lot of African leaders brought very important issues. But it seems like of all the issues that they brought up, um, not even one African leader has brought up the crisis, the drug crisis that we find ourselves in Africa. And this is not uh this is one of those things because I don't know if it's because of stigma and cultural stuff that African leaders have to go through, but I have seen leaders talking about things like, the Gaza, for example, where people are dying, and I said the word anyway, where people are going through tough times, and there were many of them have pointed out that there's a problem with the Ukraine and Russia and all those things happening there. But I'm surprised that none of them ever. However, the topic of drugs was mentioned in drug trafficking and stuff like that. As you already know, I'd made a live video about this, about like reading to you guys about what do you call it? Uh, Organized crimes that is Africa is being heavily used right now, especially the western part of Africa. They are dealing with a lot of influx of organized. Hey, what's up, Nikolai? Good, it's going good. So I have here Google. My friend Google is going to research for me some of these topics, and I do hope that this is answered. So I'm going to be asking a few questions. Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for joining in. If you're here for the first time, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell too, so you don't miss any of the uploads on this channel. So, hi, Mr. Penguin. I feel like this is not the first time we talked. Thank you for joining in. There is a crisis in Africa. Yes, it's not a political thing, but there is something that is going on, especially among young people. Oh, merhaba. Um, so as you already know, in 2025, Turkey. I'm not in Turkey, but I was once in Turkey, so merhaba. Um, uh, so yeah, the drug crisis that none of the African leaders at the UN mentioned, it's been going on for years now. I don't know if it's because they don't take it seriously or it doesn't seem like it's a problem. This happened during Yim Yassen, Jeff Frost, Jeff Frost. Oh, speak Türkçe konuş. Biraz Türkçe konuşuyor. Bye. Hey, Mr. Penguin. Thank you so much for joining in. See you next time. Thank you. You keep coming, so I recognize that. So Here's the problem that we find ourselves in as African. I feel like because this is an issue that maybe is taken lightly, it's going to happen like what we other pandemics that happened to Africa, like the HIV and AIDS and all the things that happened when people aw- were aware that something's happening, but also people were not aware, if that makes sense. Like people were not taking it seriously until it was like, okay, this is a problem. So I think Africa is going through that with drugs. As you already know, drugs are very painful whenever they take effect because they seem to target especially young people that are going out there having fun and they find themselves in the mix. And I know countries are fighting so hard legally to deal with that thing. But when you look at the example of rich countries, you see that it's the legalities of things does not actually control how people use or don't use drugs, stuff like that. So yeah, this is the situation now. Based on the recent report at the UN, the General Assembly, the drug crisis may not have been primary focus for most African leaders, which is like alarming. So like our leaders were not focused on that. They were talking about wars and the peace and other things, but the drugs are going to be chipping away from all the people. As they spoke mostly about climate change, global conflict, inequality, and UN reform. That's what their main focus was. However, the topic of drug trafficking related organized crime is a recognized issue for African nations, particularly in the West Africa, which has historically been used as a transit point. So yeah, West Africa have seen a lot of activities pertaining to drugs and drug trafficking and stuff like that. And it's one of those sad situation. Countries like Sierra Leone and other countries have seen a lot of devastating effects of drug use. So uh, hi there. So I'm talking about the drug crisis in Africa. What countries in Africa are we can say they are heavily affected right now?
A number of countries in Africa are facing significant challenges related to drug use and trafficking. Some of the most affected include South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya. These countries struggle with the use of various substances, including heroin, cocaine, and synthetic drugs. The issue is complex, driven by factors like poverty, unemployment, and organized crime.
Yeah. So I mean, I saw that at the UN. It seems like none of the African leaders that were there seems to not have brought this up to attention. Did I miss something?
That's right. It seems the drug crisis wasn't a major talking point for African leaders at the UN this year. They focused more on other pressing issues like climate change and global conflicts.
Yeah. Is it not a problem that we should be focusing on right now, or do you think that we still have time?
That's a really important question. The drug crisis in Africa is a serious issue with devastating consequences. It fuels violence, corruption, and instability, hindering development and harming communities. While other global issues are pressing, the drug crisis demands attention and action.
Yeah. So, what can African leaders do or talk about right now in order to deal with it?
Okay, so African leaders can take several key steps. They can prioritize the issue in national development plans, advocate for international support and resources, and strengthen regional cooperation to combat drug trafficking. Additionally, investing in prevention and treatment programs is crucial for addressing the root causes of drug use and helping those affected.
Yeah, that's basically Google AI talking about those stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to do this because I see a lot of people criticizing me for talking about this type of issues, and I'm not making anything up here. I'm just pointing out the obvious and pointing out the problem that I have seen reported in in several African countries. And some countries are struggling with this on a daily, like countries that you wouldn't even think they would have a problem like that, like countries like the island of Seychelles, for example. It's one of the most beautiful country in the world and one of the richest countries in Africa, one of the most safest, peaceful country, and they are grappling with drug crisis and drug trafficking, which is something that is alarming for African nations. As already we know that we do need peace and tranquility, but with the presence of drugs and drug trafficking, it puts a lot of pressure on already the continent that is already struggling. On the other hand, there's so many other young African people running away from the continent altogether, risking their life crossing the perilous, unpredictable bodies of waters to get to Europe, just in hope of better life. And they know this. They know that they are not welcome in Europe, not mainly because they just came there illegally, just because they have a certain skin color, so it's a problem for them out there in Europe. But they would rather deal with that than to deal with the uncertainty of whether they will be safe tomorrow and whether what are they going to eat the following day. So when you put all the wars that are going on and the drug use, the drug problem, that means we are dealing with a lot of problems at once. And all African leaders are doing well talking about the inequalities of um, distribution of resources, healthcare, and all the things. But if they neglect issues like drug abuse, then it's just going to be like, okay, the war is over, but now everybody's addicted to some sort of drugs. If you're African and you're going to watch this message and you're watching it either in this present time, and hopefully it doesn't get worse in the future. Hopefully nobody's gonna watch these videos and be like, oh my goodness, we are so late now, the whole continent is messed up. I'm telling you guys, countries that are doing so well economically compared to other countries in Africa are dealing with drug crisis, countries like South Africa included. So we have to be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys on the other side.